Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/entitled people. In today's episode, our new neighbor thinks she owns the building. My new neighbor thinks she can park anywhere. Entitled neighbor won't let anyone use the clothesline. Entitled neighbor throws a party. She really wanted to pet my cat. It's been too quiet. Entitled neighbor is back and wants me to isolate elsewhere. Entitled neighbor strikes again. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Our new neighbor thinks she owns the building. Anyway, I, 31F, live in a block of 6 units, apartments for non-Australians. A month ago the unit above mine went up for sale and sold fairly quickly, and the new owner moved in less than a week ago. This morning I got up and went to take rubbish out and found a note stuck to my door. I honestly thought it was a "I'm new to the building" kind of note, you know? Oh, I could not have been more wrong. Dear tenant, I recently bought your building and wish to introduce myself. My name blah blah, not going to put her actual name, and I think you will find me a fair landlord. However, I do have rules. Everyone is to be in their units by 9 p.m. If you're going to be out past this, I suggest you find accommodation elsewhere. No pets allowed. If you have any, they must be relocated before I do an inspection, or I will call the ranger to remove them. This is the only warning. I will conduct an inspection once a month and you will be present to answer any questions or face eviction. Failure to pay rent on time will result in your eviction. If we all follow these rules, I'm sure we will get along. Sincerely blah blah. What the F did I just read? Fun fact about my building, we all own our own units, nobody actually owns the whole building. I won't lie, I got to the number 2 and had a slight panic attack because I have cats and there's no way I was giving them away before I remembered we bought our unit just before Christmas. We rented it from a friend prior, and when she told me she was thinking about selling it, we brought it, didn't even have to move. So in some ways it still feels like renting, but we actually own our unit. Now I'm not great at confronting someone, I tend to shake a lot, but at that moment I was quite angry, so I went upstairs and knocked on her door. You know that gut feeling you have? It was spot on. That door opened and there stood a Karen, her hair blonder than my own, her nails long and bright colored. She didn't look happy to see me there. I introduced myself and explained that I lived downstairs and that I wanted to talk to her about her note. She started to talk over top of me, explaining that her letter was basic rules and even a child could understand it, and if I didn't like her rules I could hand in a letter to vacate. Wow. I would ask if people are really this up themselves, but I work in retail and could answer my own question. I told her that I actually own my unit, she hadn't bought it or the rest of the building but only her own unit, and that she couldn't enforce anything in her note. She didn't like that at all. She started yelling at me, saying that yes, she had indeed bought the whole building and that failure to comply with her rules would mean I would be evicted. I was just starting to think maybe I was wrong when another neighbor opened his door. He came out and asked what the issues was about and could she stop screaming as he worked nights and was trying to sleep. I told him I was trying to explain that she hadn't bought the building, and she started yelling again. My neighbor told her to stop and then said the best thing I had heard that day. Are you stupid? Her jaw dropped as he explained to her how wrong she was and that he was in fact part of the Strata Committee, kind of like a HOA that oversees the building, and that she had no right to make rules for everyone. She gave us dirty looks before slamming the door. I thanked him and he said in the entire time he lived there he hadn't seen someone so entitled. I wonder what exactly made her think she owned the whole building in the first place. Is she so illiterate that she misunderstood the terms of sale as presented to her by the previous owner of her apartment unit? I don't buy the stupid and or tricked for one bit. It's the type that rolls over people, gaslighting them in all of her entitlement. She rolled a notch too far, getting away with it once, 1 or 2 times, that and severe childhood trauma. People are not born like that, they become like this, by sad example. On top of which, some of her demands wouldn't even be legal if she did own the building. No landlord gets to set a curfew. Neither are they allowed to do monthly inspections in most parts of the world. In the US, most states set very specific conditions for inspections. Residents have the right to be present, but only a court order could require that. Part of me wonders if she tried this thinking she could make things to her liking and figured people would be too scared to question it. That's what I was thinking as well, but she can't control 5 other homeowners. This woman has to be certifiably insane to think that she bought the whole building. Some of the things on that list were unreasonable even from an actual landlord. I know real estate prices have been getting a bit bat's head around here lately, but who buys one unit and thinks, yeah, that's how much a whole building would cost? Not to mention, she thinks she can just suddenly start imposing a 9 p.m. curfew LMAO. She sounds like she's gonna be super popular in the building. Keep a folder with her craziness to be safe. This letter is item number 1. This should be interesting. My new neighbor thinks she can park anywhere. Update: I got home from work and she has parked her second car in the visitor spot, but she's parked it so badly it's blocking the driveway in. Right now I'm parked on the street but too tired to deal with her. So I guess this is an update to my last post. I had a lot of people ask me to post if she did anything else. This is also currently happening and my so is witnessing it and texting me as I'm at work. So if you missed my last post, I had a new neighbor move into my building and she left notes on everyone's doors saying she had bought the building and gave us insane rules to follow. She does not own the building but only a unit or apartment. Jury is still out if she is insane or stupid. She has been quiet for the last few days and I thought maybe that's it? Apparently I was wrong. So each unit in our building is allocated 1 parking space. Just 1. I park in mine and my so parks his car on the street on the other side of the building. Our parking lot had 1 visitor space. It's a very small parking lot, 6 spots for residents and 1 visitor. The visitor spot is nearly always empty and my neighbors have said my so could park his car there if he wanted, as we are the only unit with 2 cars, but he doesn't mind parking where he is. This morning my so woke up to yelling. Our kitchen window overlooks the parking lot and he snuck a peek out the window and saw entitled neighbor standing next to our nice neighbor's car and they were arguing loudly. She kept yelling that she had a second car and needed to park in his spot and he had to move his car or else she would have it towed. He kept repeating that it was his parking spot and she could either park it in the visitor spot or on the street, and if she towed his car he would report it stolen. So said she kept yelling she can park where she wants and he needed to move it or else, so my so decided to park his car in my empty spot in case she tried to park there while I'm at work. Last message he sent me, she has stormed upstairs in a huff and slammed her door. Update 2, sorry I didn't update sooner. So like I said before, her car was basically blocking the driveway and I had to park on the street. Anyway, when I got up for work the next day it was still there, but when I came home it had gone. I asked my so as he was at home and apparently a tow truck came and took it away. I'm still not sure which neighbor called the tow truck, but I have a suspicion it's the one she was arguing with. So said she has been quiet all day, only the odd footsteps. I am so excited to hear more stories about your landlady. I can feel, in my bones, this is gonna get so much better, for us, not you I'm afraid, before it's over. I'll get the popcorn. I don't know if I should laugh or cry. I would be pointing a security camera out that window to monitor the psycho. If the guest stall is ever open, I strongly suggest you or your so park there. This woman has clearly never been told no before and is going to keep causing problems until she gets the message. The more people give in to try to keep the peace, the longer it'll take. Is there any way you can find out who is on the deed or mortgage for that apartment? I have a feeling someone may have bought it for her or bought it and let her live there. It's the only solution for why she doesn't seem to know what was included in the sale. If someone else owns it, you could contact them about her behavior. Entitled neighbor won't let anyone use the clothesline. Well, I'm back. As many of you predicted, her entitlement grew. In case anyone missed the update on my last post, her car was towed, but I don't know which neighbor did it. It caught a link post sorry. This made her more angry, but seeing as I was at work, she hasn't blamed me or my sew. It's been raining all week, and as I don't have a dryer, I haven't been able to do any big items like sheets or towels, only clothes as I can hang them up inside. On Saturday it was finally sunny and I raced home from work, dragged my sew out of bed so I could wash all the blankets and dry them in case it rained again. I managed to get through 5 loads of sheets, blankets and towels, and I hung them all out of the line outside. We all share it. There are technically 2 different lines for us to use and we have never had an issue before. I hung out my last load and went inside to chill. I went back out about an hour later to get the first load off and found every single item I had hung out on the ground. Nothing had replaced it, all of it had been torn down and my pegs and peg basket gone. Most of what I'd hung out was still wet and now covered in dirt. I got my sew and he helped me bring everything inside before I went upstairs and knocked on her door. When she answered, I asked if she had taken my washing off the line, and she smugly informed me that she had not given my permission to use her line and that next time I should be polite and ask and she might let me. Look, I'm going to level with you guys. I work in retail and deal with nightmare customers. I know how to be calm around these kind of people, and I tried to be polite about this whole thing with the letter and the car, but my bed is my safe space and I wanted it clean and she messed with that just to be petty. I calmly told her that everyone can use the line, it's part of the building and nobody has to ask her permission. She tried to talk over me, but I just held my hand up and told her I was part of the strata committee, I know all the rules and who owns what, and she needs to pull her head out, grow up and stop her behavior because it's not doing her any favors. I told her to have a nice day before she slammed her door. At the very least, this is harassment. Keep a diary of her transgressions and report her to the police and your community group, forgot its name. Question: what penalties can the strata impose on this entitled bitch when she continues her abuse of all the neighbors? That woman is insane. I'm sorry you have to deal with this, but the drama is oh so very entertaining. You are a saint for being this rational and calm. So, even if she thought she owned the building, wouldn't it be downright stupid to damage the property of one of your renters? And here I sit, again on bated breath. This is better than Neighbors. Entitled neighbor throws a party. I was really hoping my neighbor would settle down, but here we are, though this story has a satisfying ending, I think. This just happened last night and I'm still a bit tired, so I'm sorry for any spelling mistakes. Our neighbor had been quiet for a while and I thought maybe she had finally realized she couldn't control the whole building. One of her cars was parked in her spot and the other was parked on the street behind my SO's car. Nobody's washing had been ripped off the line, no new notes were stuck to doors. Until yesterday. As we are the bottom unit, apartment, we have a side door that opens out onto the shared yard. I think the only time I use that door is to wear the place out or as a shortcut to hang washing out. Sorry, anyway, yesterday we were going about our day when we saw entitled neighbor and a few other people setting up tables and chairs in the yard. No big deal, it's shared space. A few minutes later there's a knock on the side door and it's her. So opened the door, it's a glass sliding door so she could see us, we couldn't pretend we weren't there, and did the usual greetings. She told us she was having a party and we needed to move our wooden planters off our patio because she needed the space for her barbecue. No. Firstly, the patio is our space, not shared space, and secondly, they sit right next to the glass door, so I don't want some random looking into my living room all night while they are cooking. So reminded her she doesn't own the building and we wouldn't be moving shit when one of her friends asked WTF was she doing. They had already set up the barbecue in the yard. She huffed and walked off without saying anything us, and we thought that was it. It was not. A few hours go by and we ended closing the curtains for privacy. Whoever designed this building didn't really keep privacy in mind for a detail, but anyway. We can hear talking, laughing, and cooking, the usual sounds of a backyard party when there's another knock on the door. I was cooking dinner, so my so answered it again. This time it was one of her friends saying she had to use the bathroom, and entitled neighbor told her to just knock on our door instead of walking upstairs. So politely told her sorry, but she couldn't use ours, and she apologized for knocking and intruding. Not even 2 minutes later, there's banging on the door, and by now my so is pissed. He opened the door and entitled neighbor started to lay into him about how dare he expect her guests to go all the way upstairs and that he needed to apologize to her and keep the door open for her guests. Now my so is usually a calm guy, very easy to talk to and rational, but in that moment he lost his shit. He told her to get off and stop bothering us, to get her head out of her ass, and she can't lay claim to everything she sees. Our bathroom wasn't hers to use, her guests could use her bathroom, and if she knocked on our door again he would call the police for harassment. At this point one of her friends came over and told entitled neighbor she needed to leave us alone and stop bugging us before apologizing and telling us to have a good night. We expected the party to be loud and go on all night, but it actually wrapped up pretty early, about 1 a.m. I think. This morning when I got up everything had been cleaned up from the yard, but our planters had been knocked over. Joke's on her because we hadn't planted anything in them yet and most of the soil in there was used cat litter. I use potting mix as cat litter because it's cheaper, so now she can smell my cat's old turds. I so look forward to your updates, never fails to make me laugh. I would go to your local library and ask the librarian for help either finding a law librarian or help finding resources. I would use those resources to acquaint myself with the exact laws of the area regarding harassment and restraining orders. I would also look into getting some security cameras. I'm surprised this person actually has friends. If you knew the friend who needed to use the bathroom, that would be one thing. If this person just told her friend to just waltz on over to use your bathroom, because you wouldn't mind or something, that's just... I don't like that. She really wanted to pet my cat. Well, I'm back. I thought maybe my neighbor had settled down and I was done with her behavior. I do hear her fighting with the upstairs neighbor now and then, but that's about it. This happened this afternoon and I'm still trying to figure out how her brain works. So in my previous posts I explained how my new neighbor thinks she owns the building our apartment is in, newsflash she doesn't, and implemented some crazy rules, none of which were legal. It took a few arguments, but I thought she finally understood she didn't own everything. Boy was I wrong. So as I am on the ground floor I have a glass sliding door that opens out into the shared yard, not happy about this, but we mainly treat it like a window anyway. Being that it was a nice cool day I had the door open but the screen door shut and locked so I could air the house out after having rained and the house smelling musty. Whenever the door is open my cats will sit at it and watch all the birds outside. I was pretty tired and my so suggested we both lay down and have a nap while I wait for the washing machine to finish. Thought sure why not, it's quiet today, and we went and laid down. We were woken up about an hour later to a rattling noise in the lounge room and I thought maybe one of the cats had tried to climb the screen door again, so I got up to scold them and found my entitled neighbor trying to open my screen door. Like really pulling on it to the point the whole door was shaking. I asked her what was she doing and she told me she had seen my cats through the door while on her way to hang clothes out and wanted to pet them but the door was stuck. I told her it wasn't stuck, it was locked because this is a private residence and she can't just walk in here whenever she pleased. She kept trying to open the door while yelling that I can't keep my cats from people if they want to pet them and it's her right to show them real love. I repeated that this was my home and she couldn't walk in whenever she wanted. This really seemed to piss her off and she started to yell at me that I was a little b*** tch and I was abusing my animals and how dare I speak to her like that. At this point I was pretty sick of being yelled at in my own home, so I just mustered up the sweetest smile I could before politely telling her to get off. If looks could kill, my cats would be eating my body right now. She tried to open the door again when my so came out and said he would call the police if she didn't stop. She finally let go of the door, glared at us, and stormed off. Needless to say, we are ordering another camera for that door now, and yes, my cats are microchipped. ETA, thought I might add this as it's been in a few comments. My phone was charging in my bedroom and I didn't take it out with me when I got up. Where I live, the police aren't very helpful unless it's actually happening, but I didn't want to turn my back on crazy. My son only got out of bed when he heard shouting because he thought I was talking to the cats. That's an attempted BNE. I think that, including your past stories, you have enough evidence for her arrest and eviction. Yes, I know that she owns her own apartment. I mean more of a relocation via the arrest. For what length of time, did you think? I've heard there are some really substandard neighbors there, lol. Definitely get cameras, and I'm glad your cats are chipped. If you haven't started to already, I'd suggest you begin to document any interaction with her that is out of the ordinary, dates, times, and as close to an objective explanation of what happened as possible. You never know if, when it might come in handy. Please call the cops on this woman. You should have enough evidence for harassment and possibly a restraining order. Dude, she went from acting like she owns the building, acting like she owns your house, harassing you and your soda, trying to break into your house. That went from a 10 to a 200 really fast. She needs to go away. Jail would be a good place. Maybe an all-tenant owner intervention? Report her to the police, so when she does something worse to you or others, it will be in the system. Attempting to trespass is probably a crime, especially since she continued to try to get in. I think she will get worse. Maybe next time she will get into your apartment, scare your cats and leave shit in your toilet. Maybe borrow some sugar as well. She has mental problems and is threatening harm to others. That's enough to get her sectioned for a psych evaluation, at least in the States. Call the police and give them the full rundown. She doesn't belong there, she belongs in a hospital on medication until she can stabilize. It's been too quiet. So if you're new to the story, here's a brief recap, or you can check my history. My entitled neighbor brought the unit above us and thought she brought the whole building. She hadn't, and tried to implement some insane rules. She also tried to park in other people's assigned parking and threatened to have our cars towed. Told me I was abusing my cats because I wouldn't let her pet them. Screamed at me because I wouldn't let her friends use my bathroom. Anyway, it's been quiet for a few weeks. I normally hear her arguing with another neighbor all the time, but lately nothing. Last week I brought a new car, yay! And it's slightly bigger than my old car, so I'm not confident enough to park it in my spot, so I've been parking on the street. The other day I got home from work and I saw a young man standing on her balcony. He was quite friendly, called out hello to me and introduced himself as her nephew and explained why he was there. She broke her foot. Apparently, at the last family dinner she tripped over a dog and broke her foot and is now staying with family because she can't get up and down the stairs. He said he was house sitting because she said she didn't trust her neighbors, but he admitted we are all really nice and quiet and maybe she is just crazy. It took all my strength to not sing and dance right there. I'd start telling him about all the things she's done, honestly. Make a pleasant quip about how you're surprised he's so nice considering, and when he asks, divulge the whole tale. So basically you got to meet the one in the family, lucky you. I just caught up on your whole history of this lady. I really hope you can chat with this guy to get the scoop somehow. He already seems to know she's off her rocker in general with the way he phrased his comments. Entitled neighbor is back and wants me to isolate elsewhere. Well, she's back. Was hoping she just wouldn't come back after she broke her foot, but last week we heard a door slam from upstairs. We looked outside and yep, her car is there. No idea if her nephew who was house sitting is there or not still. Anyway, a few days ago I tested positive for the much whispered pathogen and have been doing the right thing and staying inside and dying quietly. I'm fully vaccinated, so it's not that bad, though I could live without the headaches. My partner was away all day Saturday because he was picking up his new car and he got home late Saturday afternoon, parking his new car on the back lawn so he could give it a quick hose down from the drive. I was inside watching through the sliding door when I heard her balcony door open and she started yelling at him to get off her lawn. He told her to shove it, it's not her lawn and he is done when he is done, and can she please stop yelling because I have COVID and it doesn't help the migraines. Well, that was a mistake. I heard her storming down the stairs and she starts banging on our door screaming that I'm diseased and I need to isolate somewhere else before she gets sick, and if I don't leave she was going to call the police. I told her, through the main door, that she has been told repeatedly she can't kick us out of our own place that we own. I am staying inside and that she could call the police if she wanted, but she would more than likely be fined herself for wasting their time. According to my so who was coming in after moving his car, she looked downright murderous, but once she saw him she took off up the stairs. Haven't heard anything from her since or anything from the police, so we think it was an empty threat. I was so tempted to open the door because, like they say, sharing is caring. ETA, just wanted to add, because I've had a few comments on it, we can't get her evicted from her own home as she owns it just like we own ours. Also, lawyers in Australia are very expensive just to talk to, like when we brought our unit the lawyers handling the sale charged us for everything, they stuffed up the paperwork by misspelling my name and then charged us more to reissue the papers with the correct name. As far as I know my upstairs neighbor spoke to his lawyer about her, but they can't do much anyway. Yes, you should have opened the door whilst coughing. It was so tempting to, but I didn't want to give her ammo. Just a suggestion, buy a foghorn. The next time she bangs on your door screaming, open it and blast right in her face. If she wants to learn the hard way, oblige her. Time to get the hose or water gun and spray her when she is at your door. Bad lady. Bad lady. Shoo shoo. Entitled Neighbor Strikes Again. I'm back. Did you miss me? I won't lie, I was hoping I would never have to post again and she would become a normal neighbor. I was wrong. So she was so quiet for so long and her car was barely there, I was starting to think maybe she had moved out, but I got a nice reminder last week that she is still around. To start this story, I must give a brief background. There are 8 units total in this building. I am on the ground floor and the very nice old lady across the hallway, and I have an unspoken rule that if one of us is home and the other isn't, we sign for and accept packages so they just aren't left in the hallway. I had been expecting a package and I had a feeling it was going to show up while I was at work, but I wasn't worried because of my nice old neighbor. She would drop it off when I got home. No drama, right? Wrong. My nice old neighbor had actually gone away for a few days, so with nobody around my package was left next to my front door. But it wasn't there when I got home. Oh yes. Yes, dear reader. She had it. About 10 minutes after I got home I heard the familiar stomping on the stairs and the banging on my door. Long story short, my package had been delivered and she wanted to do the nice thing and hold on to it until I came home, but apparently it had accidentally ripped and she saw what was inside. The moment I opened the door she threw my package at me, yelling how I was a disgusting pervert and I should move out before it spreads. I told her that opening someone else's mail is a crime. It's not a crime to buy those kind of things, but thanks for taking care of my package. EntitledPeople. So this has ended up on another sub and I have been flooded with angry messages asking why I didn't file a police report for her opening up mail. Because the police don't do shit in my area. My friend is being harassed by his drug-riddled neighbor. She has tried multiple times to break into his house and put her aggressive dog in his yard. He has taken videos, photos, called the police and the ranger many times about it, and they keep telling him there is nothing they can do because they didn't see her do anything. Yeah, big help there. I called them asking what happens if someone has tampered with my mail and was asked, did you see them do it? And are you sure it didn't come that way? I think it's in a comment somewhere. I mean to add it and straight up forgot. Half the time I can't find my car after work. The law doesn't always work the way we think it does, and you can jump up and down and scream at me that it does, and that's fine, believe what you want. I was put in a weird situation with an insane neighbor and I assumed this sub would like to hear about it, but if I'm going to keep getting attacked for it, then I'm done posting about it. I would have told her that it was her Christmas gift and now she's ruined the surprise. Now if you'll excuse me, I need to take care of the package, wink wink. Haha, serves her right for opening other people's mail. She had no right to judge you, she shouldn't have opened your post. I would report her, isn't it against the law? She clearly opened it on purpose. I would report her to the Postmaster General. Give her the consequences she deserves. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.